Hey, what's up, folks? Arctic here, and yeah, some Gears gameplay. This is old stuff, but I guess some of you guys may not have seen this, and I wanted to reuse it because I'm not playing Gears, and I don't even have an Xbox 360 anymore. So, yeah, it's gonna be rough trying to ask me to play Gears of War. Nevertheless, we got some Gears of War gameplay for you guys, and this is from the Amazing channel. So I know a lot of my subscribers have not seen footage from that channel, so I thought, what the hell, I'll bring some of it over for you guys to watch. Now, today I have a pretty interesting topic of discussion for a lot of you folks out there, and as you guys can see, I'm trying to churn out a couple more Gears videos than I previously did, mostly because the reaction from you guys about me not being an ambassador for the game was pretty prevalent, and you guys were asking a lot of questions about why I did not want to be an ambassador for Gears of War, and there's a number of reasons why I'm trying not to go that route, but I'll probably explain it in another video here in the future. But for right now, let's just focus on the question at hand. So I was thinking about some of the things that we saw over the course of Gears of War 1 through 3, and even Judgment to some extent, and how the game could be easier for players without necessarily being quote-unquote easier. I know there's a lot of people that disliked some of the things that were introduced in Gears of War 3, mainly having to do with weapons, the retro and the sawed-off, were specifically and are still to this day looked at as weapons that noobs use or can be exploited by experienced players and end up being cheap. Some would say that about the Hammerburst, but I personally feel like the Hammerburst has a higher level of entry, barrier to entry, than a weapon like the retro. So my question to a lot of you guys is, this game, for at least people in the competitive community, it has never really taken off, and I think a lot of people have wanted Gears of War to be bigger than Halo or bigger than Call of Duty, but it just doesn't happen. And there's multiple reasons behind that. One, when you compare something with like Call of Duty, which I frequently look at some of the comments that a lot of the ex-pro players or competitive players in the Gears of War community are saying about the game. One thing that Call of Duty has going for it is that it's multi-platform. So regardless of what you think about the game, regardless of how you feel about the game, regardless of the scope and scale of the game itself, Gears of War will never be as big as Call of Duty because Gears of War is limited to the Xbox platform. It is just not going to grow because the install base is never going to be bigger than a multi-platform game. Now, if all of a sudden Microsoft says, hey, we're just going to allow this on every single game so we can get more sales, or every single console so we can get more sales, then, hey, maybe we'll see something happen. But the expectation that it's going to be bigger than Call of Duty is just false. The other thing I was thinking about in terms of Halo, I feel like Halo has kind of been the flagship Microsoft title. So I don't know if maybe, Gears of War can come in at number 2, but I feel like from what we're seeing so far, with the Halo channel and how much you just hear about Halo all the time, they're not really focused on another IP being the flagship title. So, from marketing dollars spent, I don't know if Gears of War is going to get the same type of love. And who knows what the budgets are. I'm just kind of spitballing some ideas off the top of my head in terms of how you can grow the game without necessarily making it easier. So some of the things that I was thinking about when we talk about accessibility are things like tutorials. And I think for a lot of us out there that have played Gears, there's been this continued focus on trying to make or improve tutorials, which is one of the reasons I ended up doing Gears of War videos in the first place, is because I felt like from a tutorial standpoint and onboarding experience for new players, the campaign does no justice for the online experience, and how and where to go and how to react to certain maps. So that's one of the reasons that I continue to put out tips and tactics on all types of games, mainly shooters, but I feel like there's not a lot of good tutorials that help players specifically for shooters. And that's one of the inherent problems of a game like Gears of War or Counter-Strike or anything out there, is that there's really no good onboarding experience to make someone a better shooter. I mean, it just doesn't work for everyone, and I think that's a big barrier and hurdle to overcome in the first place. But tutorials are a good starting point. And now my ideas for tutorials for Gears of War mainly have to do with things that I think are readily apparent to a lot of us, but are not so much so to other players. So things like wall bouncing, right? Things like where to aim, center screen, where you're lining up your shots, how and why you should be focused on specific weapons on specific maps. Those are things that I think people need to understand when they're playing the game. Now, if I were to do a wall bouncing tutorial or something of that nature, it would be very, very similar to a speedrun map or section, just like Titanfall or Quake used to do these, where you set up a series of walls and you have the player bounce between them, and they must execute that action in order to complete it. And then on top of that, I would put in a ghost of that player, of that same loop that they ran through, and then I would have the player do the wall bouncing against their ghost. Now, if you really want to get crazy, then you would have a leaderboard for this section so that people could compete against each other and show off their wall bouncing skills. I think those are all types of onboarding things that you need to kind of think about with tutorials. And this is without cheapening, I should say, the experience by introducing new weapons or things that people don't like in the community. Other ideas include things like strategies around maps. So if they had a map tutorial for every single map that they release, which I don't really think has been done for any game, you come on board with the map and it says, hey, these are the focus points for this map. Maybe you even show a couple interactive routes on how to best get there. These are things I think that Black Tusk needs to be thinking about, and hell, even some other studios need to think about. Why should I go for the boom shot? Okay, the boom shot on a scale of 1 to 10, and this is something I've talked about before in other videos, it should be your high priority on the map because it is the most powerful and can put out enemies very quickly. And so you would show the best routes to get there, possibly some throwing, hey, you want to throw smoke here, or you just want to run this route and set up right here, so that the other team doesn't grab it. These are all things that, when you hop into a match, you get frustrated as a player playing with newer players, and they're off in dilly-dally land focusing on getting a smoke grenade when, they should be over on the torque bow or over on, providing support fire over on the boom shot or whatever. And those are all things that really frustrate you as a player because, at least as a seasoned player, because you're sitting there with people that seem like they don't know what they're doing, but they could be new. And so I think that kind of ruins the experience there because they don't know how or what they should be doing on the map. And I think the other thing I was talking about was like where to aim, specifically for things like the shotgun or how to use a weapon, right? The best places to set up. Why is right hand important? These are the things that I kind of think about when I'm making my tips and tactics videos. And I think that if I'm not going to be necessarily holding the torch, a lot of you guys should be thinking about these same things as well when you go into Gears of War. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel already, trust me, you should. You're missing out. Again, I focus on intelligent discussion around games, not so much the silly let's go crazy, but more of the informational breakdown type stuff. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, and until the next time, I will see you guys later. Stay frosty.
Is destined to rule zero. The humans can no longer deny